Just seconds before Marina, the boy's mother, disconnected him from the ventilator, he woke up and revealed a horrifying secret. It was 11 p.m., and the sky was unusually dark. Matteo's furious shouting pierced the stillness of the neighborhood, echoing through the street. Inside their two-bedroom apartment, Marina fled from her husband, who, intoxicated and enraged, pursued her relentlessly. In a corner of the room, their 10-year-old son, Benjamin, exhausted by his parents' incessant arguments, pleaded with them to stop yelling, but his pleas went unheard. When Matteo finally cornered Marina, he grabbed her by the hair, and as he raised his hand to strike her, Marina clutched his wrists tightly. Then she looked into his eyes and screamed, "Don't you dare." Enough is enough. She told him she was done tolerating his hostile behavior. Just for once, Marina wanted to show Matteo that she had a crazy side to her too. She had endured so much physical abuse in their 9 years of marriage, and that night, she wanted to show him the other side of her that she had always warned him about. So Marina, now enraged, pulled Matteo's t-shirt and asked him to leave the house. She did not care that it was almost midnight. When he didn't listen to her, she dragged him towards the doorway, pushed him out of the house, and quickly bolted the door. Out of anger, she told him to leave the house and never return. You see, Marina had always believed that her husband would change his despicable ways, but now she was beginning to see how wrong she had been. Matteo started hitting the door, asking her to open it, but she told him to leave. He continued screaming and knocking on the door for about 5 minutes. Then he fell silent. Just then, Marina peeped through the door hole, and she saw him walking away, only God knows where. Marina felt peaceful after he left. Little did she know, she would regret this moment because it was the last time she would ever see her husband alive. As soon as Matteo left, Marina thought about the times when their relationship was peaceful. Marina was 20 when she got a job in one of Matteo's bakeries. The following week, after she started working at the bakery, Matteo saw her, and he fell in love with her at first sight. After a while, Marina reciprocated Matteo's feelings, and they started dating. When Marina's colleagues got to know about the relationship, they told her to break up because Matteo was a woman beater. Marina found it so hard to believe because Matteo had never raised his hands on her, nor had he ever spoken to her harshly. So she concluded that her colleagues were jealous of her and were only looking for a way to destroy her relationship. So she stayed with Matteo. And trust me, he really did treat her like a queen, so she couldn't have known that something horrifying was coming her way. After dating for a year, the two got married, and their marital life was sweet as the blossoms of wine. Unfortunately, 2 years after they had their son, everything changed. It started with Matteo raising his voice at Marina, and then he started hitting her. After doing these terrible things, he would apologize to Marina, and she, being so deeply in love with him, would forgive him, hoping he would change. Benjamin's loud and sudden snoring jolted Marina from her thoughts, so she lay on the bed and drifted off to sleep. At about 6:30 a.m., Marina's phone suddenly rang. It was a call from a nearby hospital, and they asked her to leave everything she was doing and rush down to the hospital. When Marina got to the health center, she was told that her husband had been shot by some hired killers, and he had been brought dead to the hospital. Marina didn't believe her ears until she was taken to the morgue, and she saw her husband's lifeless body. Yes, some hours ago she had told him to leave and never return, but she didn't mean those words. She really didn't. Marina broke down in tears, and she told her husband she regretted her actions. She blamed herself for his death, but soon she would learn the shocking reason behind his death. It took a while before Marina finally accepted her husband's death, and she started to move on. Luckily for her, Matteo's best friend Luke stood by her side, and he tried to fill the void that Matteo's death had left. Luke volunteered to pick up Benjamin from school, and on weekends, he would come over to the house to play football with him. He also helped with the boys' school-related projects. During this period, Marina and Luke got closer, and soon enough, Luke fell in love with Marina and he confessed his feelings to her, but she told him they needed to take things slow. Luke would often apologize to Marina for the way Matteo treated her, and he promised to do better. As time passed, Marina led Luke into her heart, and 3 years later they got married. But what she thought would be the beginning of a happy life would turn out to be a disaster. 2 years later, Luke, thinking no one was home, came home with his mistress, as he often did whenever Marina and her son weren't around. The two were in the living room satisfying their primitive desires when they suddenly heard someone's voice. "Dad, what are you doing with her? Who is she?" Benjamin said and ran back to his room. Luke didn't even care, and he continued kissing the woman. When they were done, he ordered a ride for her and told her that he would see her soon. Afterwards, he went to Benjamin's room. The little boy was still in shock because of what he had seen earlier. Luke sat beside him, then he pulled his ears and told him, "If you ever tell your mom what you saw, I will terminate her. I will take all the bakeries and throw you in a foster home." Afterwards, he stormed out of the room. When Marina returned from work, she went to her son's room and noticed that he was acting cold. She asked if anything was bothering him, but he told her that he was fine. Luke knew Benjamin wouldn't keep his secret for long. You see, all along he had pretended to love Marina, but he was plotting to take over the bakeries and everything her husband left behind. Now, he couldn't let some little boy thwart his plans, so he decided to poison Benjamin. The next day, Benjamin made breakfast, and everyone ate while watching TV. 2 hours later, Marina went to check on her son, and what she saw shocked the living daylights out of her. Benjamin, who had already passed out, was covered in sweat, and a foamy substance was at the corner of his mouth. Marina immediately called 911, and the boy was rushed to the hospital. Unfortunately for Luke, his plans failed. He had hoped that poison would kill the little boy, but it didn't. Instead, it left him in a state of coma. Now the question was how long it would take him to come out of the coma. 3 months passed by, and Benjamin was still in a coma. During this period, Marina stayed with him morning and night while Luke oversaw the businesses. Whenever Luke visited the hospital, he would hug Marina and tell her everything would be fine. But each time she went to use the bathroom, Luke would walk over to Benjamin and mock him. "Everything your parents own will soon be mine. I hope you never wake up. And very soon, I will make sure your mother disconnects you from the ventilator." After 3 months, Luke visited the hospital and found Marina crying. She told him she was beginning to doubt if her son would ever wake up. Luke quickly seized the opportunity to advise Marina to disconnect her son. "He's not coming back. What he needs now is eternal rest, and you need to give him that. Our son is tired of fighting, and he wants to go to heaven," Luke said. Marina, in her vulnerable state, felt Luke was right, and she decided to disconnect her son. So she walked over to the boy, but a few seconds before she unplugged the ventilator, something shocking happened. A tear suddenly trickled down Benjamin's face. Seeing this, Marina screamed and quickly went to call the doctors. They checked his vitals and told Marina that her son had regained consciousness. As days passed by, Benjamin started recovering. When he finally had the strength to talk, he told the doctors that he needed to tell his mother something, but he asked them to tell her not to come with his dad. The doctors were happy to help the little boy, so they followed his instructions. Wasting no time, Marina rushed down to the hospital. When she got there, her son revealed everything that Luke did. Marina was devastated. She tearfully apologized to her son and vowed to make Luke pay for his heinous actions. Suspecting that Luke might have been involved in her husband's death, she urged the police to reopen the investigation into Matteo's murder. Her suspicions proved accurate. Luke, who was eventually caught, had orchestrated Matteo's killing to seize control of his business. The hitman had intended to break into their home, but fortunately for Marina and Benjamin, they found Matteo wandering the streets after Marina had sent him out, and they killed him there. With Luke sentenced to prison, Marina relocated to a new city with her son. There, they found a fresh start and lived happily ever after. I'm really keen to know your thoughts on this story, so please don't hesitate to share your insights in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video and found it engaging, I invite you to subscribe to our channel for more similar content. Feel free to share this video. Take good care of yourselves, and I'm excited to connect with you in our future videos.